Here.
Commissioner Burke. Here. Commissioner Allen. Here. And Commissioner Clark, she has an excused absence tonight. Okay. So we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Next is to look at the agenda as presented. Any additions or corrections? No, you don't have anything, Paul? Or anybody else here?
No.
We can just let it ride as is?
Yeah, we need a vote, but
We do have to vote, okay. All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions, and the reason why. Okay, yeah, that's there. And then we now move to approval of last month's minutes. Are there any additions or corrections on the minutes as presented by Paul? We look for a motion, if you're okay on that.
Motion to approve.
Is there support? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Okay. And then presentations. And presentations, define that for the folks that are here, if you would, Paul.
sure, that's any presentations that staff actually has to make or is making to the commission, and we have none tonight.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. So we'd like to welcome people that are listening on TV and here in the audience. We follow several guidelines, the Department of Interior. We have our own rules and regs as well, and it goes very well. So we're throughout the country. There are historic commissions just like we have, I think that's all that we need to say about that. Public comment. So we do have the opportunity now. When if you're going to make a presentation, you would do it with your part of your agenda. But if anyone wants to make any advance public comment, you have up to 3 minutes to make any public comment you wish to make. Okay. That's fine. So we're now, are we ready? We're going to go as is, Paul, as you have here, beginning with 25-054?
Yep, we're going to
Okay.
start with the 81 North Saginaw, right?
Yeah. So what happens here, again, Paul, as a staff member, will go through the whole presentation, and he always makes then his recommendations. And we have 3 choices, and one to accept, and one to deny, and one to table. And so you will see it here on my right. It'll be on the screen, and your left. And so, Paul, please.
All right. Good evening, everybody. So we're going to start off with 25-41. 3 Green LLC is the tenant, 81 North Saginaw. Apply new signage on building wall. So as you can see, the property is let me get the clicker really quick. Or the laser pointer rather.
Congratulations again.
Well, all right, that's not working. So anyway, the property, as you can see, is the, let's call it the green box, rectangular box, shown here on the area map. So 81 North Saginaw was constructed in 1876. The subject property is located within the downtown historic district on the west side of Saginaw. The property's facade has been altered, storefront as well as second floor. The building is roughly a non-contributing structure within the historic district. So the photo that you see right there with the photo sim of the sign, that's the proposed sign that's going to be adhered to the building wall. Roughly it's going to be a 3.3 foot by 11 foot ACM panel sign with acrylic letters mounted to the panel on the sign band above the storefront. And again, for some of you that aren't familiar with ACM panels, roughly they're lightweight, rigid aluminum sheets. So that's what that's going to look like. And again, this is the photo sim. And we did have our law department take a look at that because the law department has to review all signs that are in coordination with marijuana-type uses. So they did approve this one. And we put 2 signs within your packet, and this is the one the applicant decided to go with, as shown. Roughly, National Park Standards 2, 5, 9, and 10 apply. And for the Pontiac Historic District Guidelines, 2, 9, 10, and 11 apply. Proposed findings, staff supports proposed new sign face on the existing building sign band. The request is consistent with the National Park Service standards, as well as the Historic District criteria. We have 2 recommendations for approval. The first one is insert a backlit sign made of ACM material with acrylic letters mounted to ACM panel within the existing sign box on the Saginaw facade. The sign on the building shall not exceed roughly 39 square feet in size. The signage shall not be established on the building until a certificate of occupancy has been issued for the business by the building department. And these are the sample motions, so I included my presentation.
Any questions of Paul? Is the applicant in attendance? Okay. Any comments you want to make? And identify yourselves if you would.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you. Tim Shepard, 35 West Huron is my address. I'm the landlord on the building, so I'm not operating the business. That would be Dave. He's one of the
okay.
partners that's operating that. So any questions
Yes.
you guys have?
How you doing? My name is David Parker. How you doing today?
Good, good. And so your plan of attack, so you've received approval from the city to have your business, I'm assuming that?
Yes, sir.
And so what is your next steps?
The next step is definitely to get approval from you guys.
Right.
Then once we get approval, have an inspection for the certificate of occupancy. And once we get that, we will proceed with the requirements from the state.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions of the applicants?
Is this the last step before you get your C of O?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So in theory, they'll be the first ones open. I mean, there's a couple others that might be around the same time.
Yeah,
It's been a long
gotcha.
process.
So I would, is there a motion to approve? Yes, is there support for that motion? Support. Any further comments or anything? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? We wish you the best. And any comments you wish to make, anyone? That was fairly painless, wasn't it?
That was simple, a lot better than planning.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, all.
Thank you. I do want to indicate that, the person to my left is a new city council member that was approved or whatever, elected last. So share a bit about what you're going to be doing.
Regina Campbell, District 6. I'll be this new city council person for District 6, which is the east side and part of the north side. Great city of Pontiac, so thank you.
And you're still going to be in the construction business?
I am,
Yeah.
here and there. I've got a lot on my plate for the new
Okay.
district, so,
Okay, well, thank you, and
Thank
we
you.
wish you the best.
thank you.
Mr. Chair, actually, we have to read the motion for 81 North Saginaw, so can we go ahead and do that?
Oh,
The motions
sorry.
are right there, so I need to know who. All right?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it's, right up on the screen.
I move to approve the issuance of the certificate of appropriateness for this request with the 2 conditions recommended by staff based on the Secretary of Interior Standards 2, 5, 9, and 10.
Is that fine? Okay.
Yep, we need a second.
You want us to then redo it?
Well, actually, Commissioner Burke just stated the motion, so we need a second, and then we need a vote.
Okay, then we
Okay.
vote. Okay, second, Jim Allen.
Second.
Jim Allen is second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Ditto. Okay. Next, Paul?
All right, our next case is 86 Cherokee, 25-25. Replace rear dwelling vinyl window with FiberX window. So the property in question is located, well, I guess nothing's working today. So the property in question is
Over
located
there.
at, if you see the blue square right there. Then, of course, we have this location map that shows you actually where the property is located in a more detailed photo. So 86 Cherokee was constructed in 1931. The property is located, again, within the Seminole Hills Historic District. It's on the east side of Cherokee Road, south of Algonquin. The site consists of a two-story brick and cedar shake-clad vernacular-style dwelling and a two-car attached garage off the rear of the dwelling. So this is a picture of 86 Cherokee prior to the HDC approval a few months ago. You should, if you haven't driven by it yet, you should drive by it because the applicant, the homeowner is here in the audience, Ron, and he's done a fantastic job with actually repairing the existing cedar shake siding as well as the new rear attached garage is constructed right now. The applicant requests certificate of appropriateness for the following. Repair one rear second-story 4-pane vinyl window with one FiberX window with 4 panes. The FiberX window will have exterior mullions that divide the window into 4 panes to match the existing window to the left of the existing vinyl window. And I'll go to the picture in a few minutes. And then install glass block in all basement windows, which is, which is a common request for the HDC. So National Park Service 2, 6, and 9 apply. With the Pontiac Historic District guidelines, it's 3, 5, and 7, and 10 apply. So this is the rear facade showing the vinyl window. So the photo to the left, now that shows you the vinyl window on the right, and then the existing 4-pane wood window on the left. Now the picture on the right just shows you another example of it, but with the new garage roof constructed on site. And this is roughly a picture of the proposed FiberX window. So there'll be 4 panes and there'll be exterior mullions. So the homeowner is here, so he can probably describe a little bit better than myself. But roughly, the window is complying with the requirements for exterior mullions, as well as the look of the window, that being FiberX. Glass block unit, standard one. This is a picture of the existing basement windows. As you can see, some of them are in disrepair. But the big takeaway, of course, with our window guidelines is the fact that if there's any stained glass or leaded glass in the basement windows, that's not an option to put in glass block. But in this case, these are just standard 1930s wood windows. So with him requesting to remove these and put in glass block, that's consistent with the window guidelines. So staff recommends approval with the following items here. Insert glass block units within each basement window. If the basement windows are visible from any right-of-way, landscaping shall be established to conceal each window. And there's actually no windows on the front facade, so most of the windows are on the side of the rear. One FiberX window unit shall replace the existing sliding vinyl window located on the rear of the second floor facade of the dwelling. The new unit shall have simulated divided light mullions and to be matched to the existing window on site to the, roughly to the left. The original window trim on the second floor window unit shall be repaired or replaced with an exact match to the original trim. And these are our motions.
So, thank you. Any questions of Paul? So the house was in disrepair then when he purchased it? Yes. So if you would come to the podium, introduce yourself again, if you would, please. And when did you purchase the place? And yes.
Yeah, we purchased it, would have been closed on last January, so we've had quite a few months to work on it, and we've come a long way, still a long way to go on the interior, but we're making progress daily.
Did the real estate person that you, assuming that you had a real estate, did he or she indicate to you that you live in Seminole Hills and it is a historic area? Did you know that prior to coming into that area?
Yes, I was aware. She made me very aware of that. However, I didn't understand or didn't realize the extent of, you know, that,
yes.
what that meant.
Yeah.
But no problems, I
Yeah. Well, we
believe.
appreciate what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Many real estate people fail to communicate that
No,
with.
she made it clear that it was a historic district, and
Yeah.
I would need to work with the Historic Society along with the department downstairs for repairs under permits.
Sure.
So, yeah, that was very clear.
Any questions of the applicant? Okay. So motion, please.
I move to issue the issuance of the certificate of appropriateness for this request based on the Secretary of Interior Standards 2, 5, 6, and 9, with the 3 conditions provided by staff.
Okay. Is there support for the motion as made?
Second?
Mr. Allen, any further questions? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstentions, and the reason why? Again, thank you so much. So the next step, Paul, that the applicant, what does he do next, please?
Sure, I'm going to be issuing the certificate of appropriateness probably Thursday or Friday of this week. So I'll email that over to you, or if you want to come in and grab it on Friday, that's not a problem. It'll be available. And at that point in time, then you obviously need to take that over to the building department, and then they'll give you a permit to actually take the window out and put the new window in.
Okay, sounds great.
By the way, that house looks stellar.
Yeah.
Really does. You're doing a heck of a nice job on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Again, and I think you may know that this commission only has responsibility for the exterior of the facades, the interior, and also the color. We'd like to have, it's deemed to be sort of a First Amendment right, but we'd like to have it of the time period, of course. You know, chartreuse is not always the best color, so we'd like to do that. But thank you very much, and we'll drive by. The next application number, please.
Sure, this next application is 25-032, 1110 Oneida, Casa del Rey, an exterior, let's say, alter exterior portions of the building. Obviously, the commission saw the case roughly about 2 months ago, and then there are 3 items that the commission wanted to look at in more detail, and the applicant provided the information I put in your packet, and I'll go over those items with you right now. So this is a picture off Oneida Street. And roughly the building was constructed in 1928. The architect was Robert O'Derrick. This is an excellent example of a Mediterranean Spanish Revival type apartment building. And again, the building is located within the Seminole Hills Historic District. In 23, HDC approved window replacement and vehicle door replacement. And in '25, 2 months ago, HDC approved a roof replacement, gutter replacement, acorn lights on the Algonquin frontage opposite the front door of that entrance. And then on the Oneida, there's 2 acorn lights approved, as well as fencing repair and a few other items also. This is a map showing Casa del Rey as well as the parking lot to the rear. And the National Park Service standards that apply are 2, 5, 6, and 9. And with the alteration requests, again, add new light fixtures to the building, which we'll go over those momentarily. Add new light poles in the rear parking lot, and alter rear garage facade. So there's 2 options that the applicant provided for building lighting. So the photo you see on the left, that's proposed wall lighting by the entrance doors. And then the photo to the right is the veranda ceiling lighting. So this is option 1. And then this is option 2. The 2 light fixtures to your left, those are proposed building lighting at the entrance doors. And the one on the right is proposed veranda ceiling lights. So there's 1 and 2 options here. Now, this is the garage, the rear garage facade alteration. So when the case was in front of the commission 2 months ago, you asked that the applicant provide a more detailed version of the facade enhancements. So this is what the applicant has done. So I'm going to go up to the board and sort of point out a few things since none of the pointers are working. So what the applicant's going to do here is there's a few studio apartments that are going to be put in this elevation. So roughly there's going to be a new windows put in here. The windows are going to be the same windows that the commission approved roughly last year. As well as you're going to see how the coffering that's going to roughly mimic the look of the 1930s type doors that were in the building. Obviously, I don't think those are really the original doors, but this is mimicking what the original doors in the 1930 doors would look like. This is a pedestrian door going to unit. Right here, they're all faux garage doors, but again, they all have the coffering that roughly has the look of the doors that were there. And then as you proceed down, there's a few, I think this is the entrance door into the building right here. Oh, one, sorry. We're right there. So what the applicant's doing here is she's offering the coffering again that sort of mimics that whole look of the facade. And then as you can see farther down, there's 3 more studio units that have the coffering as well as the entrance doors and the windows. So this is a nice feature that she's doing in the fact that she's utilizing all the coffering and sort of activating this portion of the building, which is really nice because, I mean, it's before she was more or less going to just be putting all these opaque type garage doors in, but now this space will actually be activated on this building. So
Thank you.
now this is a better example of the coffering that she's going to be using, as well as the entrance door into the rear of the building. And now there was a bit of a discussion at the meeting about 2 months ago about the parking lot poles. The applicant was working with DTE, and DTE was going to be establishing wood-type light poles on site. So the applicant reached out to DTE, and they came up with this teardrop type of light. Very, this is something that one would find in Seminole Hills or Fairgrove, GM Modern Housing, 30s, 20s, a nice, very nice light fixture. It's going to be cut off also, so the light will show down but not up. So the blue stars are where the light fixtures are going to be going, that being the teardrop type lights. And staff recommendation, remove the 1930s era garage doors at the rear of the building to insert faux coffered garage doors with some having windows and establishing pedestrian doors having coffered exteriors, which roughly mimic the original garage doors that were removed in the past. Establish 4 or 5 teardrop, fully shielded light poles within the rear parking lot at the site, and establish wall lighting and ceiling lighting fixtures on the building. The fixtures shall emulate roughly the architectural style of the building. So what might be good to review, of course, is go over option 1 and 2. And the building owner is right here, Renita, so she can sort of address any items that the commission has. So there we go.
And do you have your recommendations? Did I see that?
Yep, our recommendation is to approve. And I just went over that a minute ago. And here's the sample motions.
Okay. Well, how's the journey? Did you hear me? How's the journey?
Yes, good evening.
Yes.
Good evening, chairpersons. The journey is going well. If I looked at the calendar today, we are about 1 year out from when we broke ground on this building. It was November 15th of 2024. And we are roughly about 45% complete with this project. So we are moving at the pace that we expected to move. So that's exciting. But of course, there's been challenges, but we just work through those challenges as they come.
You have a contractor that, you have a different one than you first started, as I recall, right?
Yes, so
And-
West
and
Construction.
that's working well for you?
Yes, they're on target to hit the date. Yes,
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
they're on target to hit our date,
Okay, yes. So,
our scheduled date.
yeah, so respond to Paul's presentation, if you would.
Yes, no problem. So this is proposal number 1, and then Paul. And then, so if you would, Paul, could you go to the back elevation, please? Because I wanted to add, so the Scots will go at the main entrance on, 2 of them will go on the main entrance of Oneida, 2 on Algonquin, the main arch doors on those sides of the building. And then you have 2 balconies that will also have sconces to a piece, and then you have the lower balconies that will have the ceiling mounts. But I also wanted to add, there are also sconces on the rear of the building, and I'll just show you. So for each individual studio apartment, it's hard to see on here, but you have a sconce there, a sconce there, there, and there. So those will be the smaller ones that will be the same as the ones that are on the balconies on the second floor. So if you don't mind going to that second option. So these, you can sort of see the difference in size in this option for the sconce. The one furthest to the left is the larger, which will go on the main entrances. The medium-sized one is right there in the middle, and then you can see the ceiling mounts. So I'm looking for your approval for option one or option 2.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant?
Question, no. Commentary, oh my gosh, it's so exciting to see the progress week after week, because you know I'm watching them. I can see them, so I watch, and it's just amazing to drive by and see, and the number of people that, what is that? When's it going to be open? When can people move in? It's very exciting.
That's awesome.
Love seeing it in the neighborhood, so thank you for the
Thank
amazing
you.
work.
It looks a lot different from the outside. I don't know if you all have passed by there, but from that picture that Paul showed to today,
You don't
it looks-
recognize it.
Yeah.
And now, how many rental units will you have?
So with the addition of the studio apartments, it will be 54 total.
54.
There will be 1 penthouse suite, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. There will be 36 one-bedrooms and 15 twos, and 4 studios.
Now, this is not market rate, right? This is,
So good question. This will be what they call the missing middle, which is middle income, which is around 80% AMI. So you have to be within have a certain income range
okay,
to meet that missing middle target.
yes.
Commissioner Campbell has a question. Which option would you prefer? You got option 1, you have option 2. What is your
Well,
preference?
Both of them have a price point, and they're a little different from each other.
Right?
I'm sure there's probably more taste for option 2 than option 1. But I want to leave it up to the historic district to help us make this decision.
You want my 2 cents?
Sure.
Either one of them would work for me. And if it's an exorbitant cost for the number of lights that you have, I just soon let you pick the one that you like. I think both of them are very nice, to be honest with you. So my vote is you'd be good with either one.
Okay, thank you for that.
Others, do you want to react to Jim's thoughts on this?
Commissioner Bales. Well, I guess I want to back up to the light poles. I saw you're proposing only 4 of the acorn style. Is there a reason only 4 and not, I'm seeing total 9 light poles, is that right?
So let me clarify something. You see the circles on the left? I'll just step over. This is your main entrance to the building here. So
2, 3, 4, 5. It appears like, and then there's 6.
on the Algonquin side, you don't have
Right,
that
but these are a
main
different
big
style
entrance,
than that.
so you only have one. There's only one to get there. One correction, and
The ones that are in question are the ones with the circles, I think.
the teardrop lights will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. But the acorn lights are only for the exterior entrance of the building, not the rear where the parking lot is. The acorn lights are parking lot lights. I'm sorry, the teardrop lights are parking lot.
Commissioner Bales, did you receive the answer you were looking for?
Yeah, so, okay, so acorn lights, I think I understood where those are going. Then the light poles, the teardrop light poles, that's what we're calling
For the
them?
parking lot.
Okay. And so the red dots represent the light pole locations, is that correct?
Correct.
And so only 4 of those circles will be the teardrop style?
Teardrops, that's correct.
Is there any reason why not all of them?
So DTE did a photographic of the light and the spread of light, and that was sufficient for the parking lot. And if you need to see that detail, I think Paul has it.
You mean the candle power was sufficient to light the parking lot?
Correct, so they do what they
The
call.
brightness of the light?
Correct,
yeah,
correct.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sure, it's a photometric, and yeah, the planning department did review the photometric, and with the lighting intensity with the proposed candles, they are going to be sufficient for that, because with the photometric, roughly, what it shows is, what you want to see is really 0.1 or 0.0 along the periphery of the right-of-way or adjacent to parcels, and all of those are 0.0. So the number of candles that are proposed be established there does conform to the requirements of the zoning ordinance for the photometric.
So it's basically properly lit?
Correct, that's what the photometric shows.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there going to be a mix of different light poles in the parking lot? I guess that's my direct question. Like, are we getting a consistent light pole, or is there going to be different kinds of light poles?
Just the teardrops and the acorns.
Okay, thank you.
With that in mind, could you put up,
I got it right here.
okay, but let us just see what he got. Okay, looking
right.
for a motion on this, please?
Might as well go. I move to approve the issuance of the certificate of appropriateness for this request based on the Secretary of Interior Standards 2, 5, 6, and 9, based on the recommendations listed in the staff report, giving the applicant the choice on the two different light options.
Second, Commissioner Campbell, second. Is there further questions or anything? Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Any abstentions, and the reason why? Well, you know, we're eager to see this going along with 28 Saginaw and eventually Washington School.
Yes.
We've got to get Washington School going as well, so that would be really great. So are we set on that? We wish you the best.
Thank you
for
so
being
much,
here.
and congratulations, Councilwoman Campbell.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul, next one, please.
Okay, so this is 25-57, 403 North Saginaw Street, construction of accessory building on the parcel. The parcel in question is the square shape off of North Saginaw, roughly at Regent. And this is a better photo. So the house itself, 1850s brick revival, is roughly in the middle of the parcel there. And where the red sort of boxes, that's where the proposed accessory structure is going to be located. So this is a picture of the house, the existing house on site, to the right and the left. And then the right, that shows the driveway. And way back there is where the accessory structure is going to be constructed. And the siting is interesting because it's all residential roughly along this section of Saginaw. But to the rear, there's an industrial factory. So I did want to point that out. The dwelling, again, was built in 1850s. Now, this is a standalone type historic district here in the city. This is a Horatio and Howard house. The site roughly consists of a two-story brick revival type building. And the building is clad with red brick and has wood windows in a 1/1 pattern. So the applicant's requesting to construct a red one-story detached metal-sided garage having 616 square feet with a hip roof. This is an example of the structure that the applicant wishes to establish at site at the rear of the parcel. This complies with 2, 5, 6, and 9 of the National Park Service standards, roughly 3, 5, and 10 of the Pontiac Historic Guidelines. Staff can support the addition of an accessory structure to the rear parking lot at the site. The proposed building will not destroy the historic nature of the Horatio and Howard house, since it's going to be sited away from the dwelling to the rear of the parcel. Metal accessory structures were somewhat common type outbuildings on working farms or suburban parcels, roughly 1890s to maybe about 1920, 1930s when they really were constructed when you get down to it. Probably a little earlier than 1890s. And the proposed windows in the structure will again have 1/1 pattern to mimic the pattern on the existing 1850s farmhouse. Staff recommends two recommendations here. The applicant shall construct the accessory structure as presented in the facades, drawings provided to the HDC and be located at the rear of the parcel per the approved plans. The proposed accessory structure shall comply with all sections of the zoning ordinance that more or less highlight the size, the height, and the location of the proposed accessory structure. And these are our sample motions. And the homeowner is in the audience, so I'm sure she'll want to speak to this a bit.
First, any questions of Paul, commissioners? Okay, then if the applicant would come to the podium, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Any questions? Well, I know I submitted or came in to meet with the Historic Council to ask for some guidance before submitting to this. Got some great recommendations, which I appreciate. I think have made the project better. And I would really like to have a garage so I don't have to clean my car off. It's long overdue.
Any questions of the applicant? So are you hearing that, what I was hearing Paul indicate that the structure is of the era, of the time period, sort of, that the original was made? Is that
That
your
is-
understanding as well?
That is correct. It's more of a barnish structure than a suburban garage.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, we don't have this very often. In fact, I don't recall it before, so it's new to us on that. Any further questions of the applicant? Then,
Quick question, yeah, Commissioner Bales, is the metal corrugated or smooth? you know?
No, it is not. It is intended to look like a board and batten. And it's something what they call a PCR panel.
Be nice to see that, I guess, to kind of understand the,
There's a picture that the applicant provided in your packet that should have the.
is it this?
Nope, it should be in your packet, or I can go grab it if it's not. It actually shows the outline or the detail work, what it looks like.
The exact profile, see.
Commissioner Bell, what was your question?
Just like, what is the condition of the panels that are going up? Are they corrugated, are they smooth? It sounds like it's a sort of stamp, board and batten pattern.
Appearance.
I guess, yeah, just, to me, this looks like a, Menards shed, that you can order from them. But I think, like we discussed previously, it does sort of fit with the era and the style of the home, so that's all.
okay. Then I'm looking for a motion, please. It sounds, this is the first time for you, so why don't we start it?
So I'm good with it.
I don't, my packet's missing
Oh.
part of this, so I move, unless you can flip it. To the motions.
This is what it's gonna look like, that's the root pattern.
Oh, okay.
Found
Yep.
it here.
Found it, okay.
She's looking for the motion, though.
Yep,
Yep, he'll get
Just, providing this to Commissioner Bales. There you go.
I know mine isn't listed, yeah.
This is what that's the profile. Kind of heavy,
There it is. Okay. I move to approve the issuance of the certificate of appropriateness for this request based on the Secretary of Interior Standards 2, 5, 6, and 9 with the two conditions provided by staff.
Second?
Any questions? Yeah. Any questions? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Any abstentions, and the reason why. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, we wish, I tend not to go out North Saginaw that far, so I haven't driven by your house for some years, so sometime. Yeah.
Exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Paul?
this is HDC 25-51, 75 Cherokee Road, request to replace wood, cedar, shingle siding, wood lap siding, replace, repair wood trim, window trim rather, sorry, and construct a side porch and rear deck on the dwelling.
Still not wood.
So, area map shows again the rectangular blue area there at Algonquin and Cherokee is where the property is located. Obviously, this is the better location map where the blue rectangle is. That's where the house lies. Obviously, HDC did have a site visit to the house to review the condition, I would say about 3 months ago. So roughly the house was built in 1910s, early 1920s. Again, it's located within the Seminole Hills Historic District, Cherokee Road south of Algonquin at the corner. The site consists of a 2-story arts and crafts dwelling. So this is a current picture of the house. It does show the wood lap siding on the first floor, as well as cedar shakes on the second, as well as the gable ends. Photo of the dwelling siding that the applicant provided. Again, rear photo of the condition of the siding per the applicant's pictures. So this is a side porch. So roughly, you may have noticed that when you went to the house that there's no existing side porch coming off the Algonquin facade. To the right, that shows the image of what it will look like based on the applicant's rendering. So this is a rear deck. There's an existing rear deck at site, as shown on a portion of the picture on the right, but there's a better picture in your packet that shows the rear deck. And to the side is the rendering of the proposed deck and stairs. So request, reconstruct side porch and rear deck, remove lap siding and cedar shake shingles to install fiber cement lap and fiber cement shingle siding, alter and repair window trim. So this complies with 2, 5, 6, 9, and 10 of the National Park Service standards, and then complies with 1, 3, 5, 7, and 10 of the Pontiac Historic District guidelines. So dwelling siding, the applicant requests to remove the original wood horizontal lap siding on the first floor of the dwelling and a cedar shake siding on portions of the dwelling's exterior wall, gable area, and install new lap fiber cement siding and again, fiber cement shingle siding. The proposed siding will comply with the board reveal 5 inches of the existing siding. However, the lap siding will not have overlapping mitered edges, but have a metal siding corner that will be used to replicate the existing siding. In order to approve shingle replacement or siding replacement, the commission will have to find that the existing siding is deteriorated and cannot be repaired. Now I'm going to hand out the samples that the applicant provided for the siding. So these are the corner hangers, let's say. So roughly what's going to happen is this is the fiber cement. It's going to locate within this ridge right here and just go up and down the building. So here you go. And you can see that it replicates, you know, a wood type texture on it also. So now this is the fiber cement. And this will give you a good example of what the fiber cement shingle siding looks like. So
There's an outside corner. This is James, sorry. Yeah, I know what this is. Go ahead.
So again, now that you have the samples in hand, yeah, so roughly the new siding metal sample that's being reviewed by the commission, That's going to be roughly replicating the mitered or overhanging edges for the lap siding. And then for the fiber cement siding shingle, that's where the applicant is indicating that he can then miter or overlap. So there'll be no hangers actually within that scheme for that being the actual shingle type product. So these are the siding guidelines that you're very familiar with. Roughly replace of original damaged material or removal of vinyl aluminum siding, a replacement with cement board, which is roughly fiber cement, that mimic the width pattern the original materials. Now, staff can support repairing the existing siding, replacing the siding by using the same material or a fiber cement product to reclad the structure as an exact match if the commission finds that the existing siding is beyond repair. Because obviously, since you're familiar with the guidelines, you know that you have to make a ruling that the material, that being the cladding material on the house, is deteriorated to the extent that it needs to be replaced. And at that point in time, then you can move on to the type of material that may replicate or may not replicate. So back to the side porch. So again, this is a closer up picture of where the new side porch will actually be constructed. On the Algonquin side, roughly the old porch was removed in the past, so this is roughly trying to replicate what was removed in the past. Now, staff supports reconstructing the north side entry porch. The reconstruction proposed will roughly add, again, a missing feature removed in the past, and the new porch will incorporate the original fieldstone posts and roughly resemble arts and crafts style porch. Now, this is the rear deck. Again, the existing deck will be removed, and the new deck's proposed to be a little bit wider going along the building's rear facade, and then a rear staircase coming down from that porch area. Roughly, I think the applicant said they're going to be square balustrades. Yep. But I put up square or round because roughly that's very reminiscent of arts and crafts type architecture. Roughly the reconstruction of both the rear deck and the side porch will not detract from the historic nature of the dwelling or destroy any physical features of the rear elevation or the side elevation based on staff's review. So now the other point here is window trim. So this is where I'm going to explain a little bit, but the applicant's going to actually explain it in greater length when I completed my assessment here. So this is the photo of the existing trim with the windows inserted. So I'm just going to go up and start pointing a bit so you all can understand what's going on. So roughly, what the applicant wishes to do is he wishes to remove some of the trim boards, window trim boards that are in total disrepair and need to be replaced. Okay, he's not looking to actually replace all the window trim on the house. Okay, he's just looking to repair the trim that is in deteriorated state rather. But when it comes to the window sill right here, what's going to happen is he is looking to actually take out the window sill and put in a new window sill at a higher level. Okay, so in other words, this window sill will actually go along here and sort of abut the window unit itself, because right now, as you can see, there's filler here. Of course, what that will mean is a small portion of each window trim, let's call it the horizontal board, vertical board, will be trimmed right here so that will then indeed, the new sill will go up on there. So recommendation, we have 7 of them. Reconstruct the north facade's porch and staircase, incorporating the original fieldstone posts on either side of the proposed porch steps with round or square spindles between upper and lower railings. Reconstruct the rear deck with a staircase. The new deck will be located within the same location as the existing deck and feature round or, again, square spindles between upper and lower railings. Of course, the applicant wishes to do square. If the HDC finds a cedar siding beyond repair, staff approves the removal of the cedar siding on the second floor as well as the gable ends. And then, of course, the fiber cement siding will be established at that point in time based on a total match to what's being removed. Number 4, if the HDC finds a woodlap siding beyond repair, staff supports the new fiber cement siding that matches all aspects of existing lap siding. Roughly, the skirting found at the bottom of the lap siding, the applicant shall replicate that in location, size, design. The applicant shall comply with all applicable codes of the zoning ordinance when it references the deck as well as the porch. Repair deteriorated window trim and add new sills. I also want to point out one item too. So as you looked at the metal type, let's say edging material that the actual siding is going to fit into, that's not an uncommon feature within your historic district. Now, there's one house that we worked with that we staff approved. They have similar type of corner pieces on their wood siding. Now, that house is from the 1930s, whereas this house is not. But I did want to point out that at least if I found a house in the 1930s, I actually have that type of, let's call it edging coping for the side. I'm sorry, for the siding. Now, this is a sample motion, so I did want to point this out. Obviously, the HDC, in your decision several months ago, the applicant did come in with a request for siding as well as windows, and both of them were denied. Now, with the windows, obviously, the windows were installed in the house without a permit or HDC review. So we did speak to our law department, and what they did here is they offered roughly this motion. And really what this motion in a nutshell says is that, let's say the HDC does wish to go along with the re-siding of the house, that if the city will roughly be held harmless and indemnified via an agreement from the homeowner, stating that if the windows indeed have to go out and you approve the new siding, well, if there's any issue with removing the new siding that you may approve, then we will be indemnified because obviously we can't be held, we're not going to be held accountable for an approval based on the fact that you denied the windows, and the windows, my assumption, will be coming out or altered. So we did want to put that indemnification in there because, if you do approve, let's say, the siding, and the windows have to come out, and the siding that you approved has to come out portions of it, and we need to be indemnified. Okay? So that concludes my
Before we have the applicant come up, are there any questions for Paul?
Yes, Paul, I just want to, I'll go from the bottom up. So removing that, 1.5 inch of the trim on the windows, we're just moving that up. The shape of the window trim is staying exactly the same. We're moving it up slightly. So nothing changes in the overall look of the window trim. Agreed?
Roughly, and the applicant can explain this more so than myself, but yes, in a nutshell, you're correct. Roughly, this will move up.
Yep, we're just covering the,
Right there, but obviously, each window trim on either side of the window right here will have to be trimmed so that it can accept this sill. And obviously, this is a, I'm not going to say an uncommon window trim for a arts and crafts structure, but there's not too many houses in Seminole Hills, maybe 3 or 4 that have similar type window trim. So this is definitely a defining feature of the dwelling.
but we're keeping that overall look. We're just moving that sill up just a teeny little bit. Okay.
They're making
Yep.
they're making the sides wider and the top's coming down too.
And then- yeah.
Other questions for Paul?
Yeah, I'm not done. And then the concern that was expressed previously with the hardy board and the different thicknesses and being able to miter the corners or do
that alternating effect, that is also then resolved by having the cool slide-in corner pieces. So we have, the material is protected,
Well, really
right,
what it,
with the,
yeah, really what it does is, when the applicant first came to the commission, he was talking about doing corner boards, okay?
Which-
Whereas now the applicant is not requesting that. He's requesting to utilize that metal edging unit, let's say.
Yep.
So that will then, of course, have that effect of the mitered or overlapping edges, okay?
yeah, and it protects the fiber board. Right, that was one of the bigger, I thought, one of the
Yep.
reasons we couldn't do that,
Yep,
that
the
mitered
applicant will be
corner,
talking
so,
about that one, yeah.
okay. Okay, yep, those were my,
Other
those are my two
for
questions.
Paul? Applicant, if you would like to. come
Commissioner
to the-
Bales, just I guess a counterpoint. Like, I don't, are we, we're just covering the corner of the lap siding, so we don't see the miter any longer. All you're gonna see is this. Okay.
It's not mitered currently, it's the alternating.
Or alternating
Yeah,
corner, right.
alternating, yeah.
So technically, we lose that detail visually.
That's right. Would you care to go to the podium? Introduce yourself, please.
Hello. I'm James Mainshes, the homeowner at 75 Cherokee. Today I'm joined by my wife, Sage Marie, and our attorney, Jamila. To the, Paul, do you have both of the corners that I provided? I think that might be helpful. Yeah, because, yeah, so it's essentially, each of these corners will receive the Hardy board. Now, mind you, the samples that the vendor sent to us for the corners, those are for 7-inch reveal, not 5-inch reveal. You know, when we order material for the job, we're gonna be getting the appropriate corners and the 5-inch reveal. But essentially, we'll, you know, the corners kind of stack and overlap on top of each other, so that as you look at the corner of the house, it has that fir tree look to it, right? The different corners jutting out each course of siding as you kind of look down the house. So this metal piece allows us to replicate that architectural detail in the fiber cement product.
Any questions, any further questions for the applicant? So as I recall, our previous decision was that only 15% of the siding would need to be replaced. And with that in mind, we made a decision.
Yes, sir. I've got material prepared to speak to that point.
First, I want to make sure,
Sure.
Was that part of our decision the last time? You recall in the field trip and the decision, was it about 15% that needed to be replaced at that time? At least that's what I recall.
It was between 10 and 15% of the house needed to be replaced because it was so heavily damaged. The rest of the building was pretty secure. So 15% isn't enough of a damage to replace the building. What needs to be done is scraped, sanded, filled, and the bad boards replaced. You're still suggesting re-siding the house with optional trim and a few other things. To me, none of it complies to the historic district. Zero of it. My 2 cents.
Commissioner Bales, I think another part of that conversation we were having was that the home needs to be air sealed, is that correct?
That was
Or
aspect of it,
Further
yes.
waterproofed from the exterior, which was, again, the homeowner's desire to further waterproof their house, I think, can't be ignored in that that requires the siding to come off completely. And at that point, yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know. I think that's just, that needs to be added to the conversation, that.
Yeah, I've got, it's a little bit of a tangent from the, I guess I'm curious on your opinion on the metal corners, basically, if it replicates the
Any comments about
mitered
that?
look.
People in construction, do you have a point of view?
Do you really want to hear it?
Yeah, go ahead.
None of it complies. None of the new material you want to suggest complies. The outside corners don't comply. You only have a 15% damage to the building. So anybody else in the district that has that kind of damage to the siding should fix the siding, just like it was originally. This other conundrum with the window trim is self-generated by windows you put in without an approval. So now you want us to allow you to reside the whole building, put up the decks the way you want, and ignore the fact that it's a historic structure.
Yeah, I'd like to repair my home and have a secure house which is secure to the elements, which is able to be insured to raise my family in, and I don't think that that's a odd position to take.
It's a great idea, but it just doesn't. It's a great idea, but it doesn't comply with the Historic Commission standards. So you want us to break the standard, let you do what you want to do, and to phooey on the historic quality of the house. I understand what you're saying. And having looked at it more than once, I'm very familiar with the house. I live in the neighborhood. And what you're asking us to do is destroy the architectural structure of that building.
Yeah, I beg to differ, sir. After we were, after we heard the commissioner's opinion that there was only 10 to 15% of the siding was bad, and we had to seriously consider the prospect that we would not be allowed to reside the house. We engaged with many contractors. We took the recommendation to look at the Boston Edison list of approved contractors, as well as, I believe it's called Brick and Beam Detroit has a list of recommended historical contractors. I called many siding companies which were on that list. Now, most of these siding companies, I tell them, I'm looking for, a siding repair job on a historical home. It's in this historic district. They say, okay, no problem. We're a hardy board vendor. We can put hardy on your house. And I say, no, forget about it. Right? So I keep going through companies until I come to a very good one, Bloomfield Construction and Restoration. They're right around the corner on Franklin Boulevard. They are familiar with our neighborhood, Seminole Hills, and the Historic District Commission. They've done work here before, and they will do cedar siding work. So I got them out to the house, did the walk around, looked at the condition of the siding, and got a quote for it. We can get into the details of the quote. The big ones are, essentially he quoted doing entire walls of the house at once. He also quoted it would be installed with, installed with house wrap and tape to elevation as vapor barrier. I raised the Historic District Commission's concerns with him directly, and he provided me with this letter, which I'm going to read to you now. He says, to further elaborate, so this is Mr. Jeff Petrucci Jr. From Bloomfield Construction. He said it was okay for me to name drop him. He wasn't able to appear in person today. He says, to further elaborate on our proposed scope of work, we are only able and willing to replace, at minimum, complete sections of the siding. By working on complete sections, we are able to fully warranty the work. Additionally, your existing woodlap siding has visible evidence of splitting, cupping, and warping. Even if we or another contractor would entertain the idea of repairs, it would be extremely difficult to identify and isolate individual boards. Also, it would be a great risk to attempt to remove certain boards without damaging the surrounding boards. This is not a risk we are willing to take. Again, by doing complete sections, we eliminate this risk. Michigan building codes require a weather-resistive barrier, WRB, like house wrap behind siding to create a weather-resistant exterior wall envelope. See code information below. I'm going to skip past that. As I mentioned previously, we completed a cedar siding project in the historic district just last year and installed Tyvek house wrap as vapor barrier to walls on the complete project. There were no concerns raised by the building department or historic district committee for this scope of work at the time. I'm certainly confused as to the questioning of the house wrap on your particular project. Please let me know if we can assist with anything further.
I don't recall a house that we looked at to follow that last paragraph at all.
There isn't one.
There isn't one.
Okay. I think Jeff from Bloomfield Construction,
Yes, sir.
I sailed with the guy, poor here on the Mackinac races for 4 or 5 years.
Paul?
So I'm sort of aware of the fellow. I believe it's the same guy.
Paul is trying to speak.
Actually, yes, in fact, the committee did look at a house at West Iroquois, at the corner of West Iroquois, and I can't recall the side street, but what?
Menominee.
Yeah, Menominee, yeah. What the commission actually did is, the house was clad all in cedar shake siding.
Brown.
So what the commission did approve, of course, is new cedar shake siding to match the existing cladding on the house. So what they did is they took off the original material that was totally damaged. The commission found that it was totally damaged based on your review, and you indicated that you're going to be, you made a decision rather stating that, yes, you do approve the installation of new cedar shake siding to match the existing cedar shake siding that was taken off. So I did want to clarify that. You did look at that.
Okay. Well, further questions? Yes.
Yeah, I guess for me, and I've been the holdout on this entire project in the other direction, the corners to me, amazing. They take care of the concern with the miter and protecting the end and why we couldn't do it with the original hardy board. It gives us that look, it protects the siding, it has the texture, it's going to still maintain the profile. When you look at the house, it's still gonna, as you called it, like, you know, that tree look is still going to be visible, right? Like visually, that's what you're gonna see. The house is going to still have the same overall look and feel, making that slight change on the trim, a lot of which you did not replace and put the aluminum. It was inherited that way. I love the idea. I'm completely in favor of the project. I think the materials you have selected are top notch. I love, and thank you for coming back and continuing to try to work with the commission to achieve a result that allows you to protect your house and do it one time. To have to come back every 10% is ludicrous to me. So I just want to say that. And if we're going to instill that standard, then it's going to be across the board. And I think it's ridiculous.
Commissioner Bales, what's your point of view on this?
Commissioner Bales, that I think, to Commissioner Burke's point, I think this is in the right direction, in my opinion, of preserving some of those details that when we were on site, we were very adamant, like, please work to find a solution to preserve this corner detail. And I think this is as close as we can get. without actually, keeping the original wood lap siding. And again, I don't want to set the precedent of homeowners not being able to improve the condition, not just maintain the condition of their homes, because again, these homes are going to require, to last another 100 years, significant interventions, just like what you're attempting to do, which I don't envy you, in terms of like, yes, we need to further weatherize the home from the exterior to bring it up to building code. Like, that's a significant undertaking. And I think you're putting in, the due diligence to preserve the historic nature of the home. Do I agree with the window situation? Not at all, right? Like, I think every homeowner needs to understand you have to pull permits to put windows in. Please stop just, doing that without permits. I think a lot of this frustration that we're sensing from some of the board members is stemming from that. But if we can set that aside, right, if we can kind of put the emotions aside and just look at it for what it is, it's a structure that needs to be further weatherized to preserve it another 100 years, then I think in this moment in time, if this is the best we can do, then yeah, I can jump on board with it.
So help me understand the precedent that we're now establishing that other people will then take advantage. Where will we be in 10 years with our standards?
Well, I think the precedent is that, and again, I don't think this is being sort of emphasized enough, is the home is without a WRB, right? The building science, right, of the home isn't up to snuff. It's not up to code. The homeowner is trying to improve the home in a way that will allow the home to last as long as possible.
What percentage of homes in Seminole Hills are in the same situation with weatherization?
I would say 99% of them.
And so the implication is that this is going to occur in the future the same way, and we won't have the sideboards, the historic sideboards that we once had.
Right, and again, I think, I will plant a flag in the ground that, like, I think the way these homes were crafted back then, I think they were crafted very well and with the intention to last as long as possible. But what we know now, right, the science, the sort of understanding that we know now about how homes perform and how they weather, is that we need to intervene, right, to this degree that this homeowner is trying to do. We have to intervene in some way to continue that, because we can't keep sanding away the paint on this siding and adding a fresh coat of paint. Like, it'll last another 20 years, right? But the condition, the amount spent on heating and cooling, the chance for mold in the walls, right, because of the thermal qualities, like, I don't know. It's one of those where...
Would you agree that with that decision, it still does not meet the criteria that we normally go through? Would you concede that?
I guess I could concede that.
Yeah.
But as we've done with other cases, it's on a per case basis. And like, if this home requires, I don't know. Again, like, we have a professional opinion from a builder that, you have a relationship with, and
Yeah,
they're
I know
saying
the guy
that,
real well.
yeah, and they're giving their professional opinion that, like, this home needs the WRB to be successful in any type of siding replacement. Like, if we deny them, all they can do then is sand and refinish the siding. 10% at a time. And I don't think that's going to, like, what precedent does that set? Right? In that we're sort of handcuffing a homeowner and saying, this is how you can improve your home.
2 months ago, I didn't hear the same, well, and that's typical.
And 2 months ago, we didn't have some of this information, right? We didn't see this. This wasn't presented. This was new information. The Hardy shaker style panels, I think, is also new. And so I'm leaning towards an approval, because I think this really starts to get closer to a preservation of a historic structure with a improvement in the longevity and the quality of life for the homeowner, right? Like the heating and cooling bills for this home are hopefully going to drastically change in their favor in that now they have an airtight, a more airtight structure to live in.
And the windows issue, where does that stand now? Is that relevant at all here?
Not today.
Not today. Okay. Other comments, please? Okay, so let's,
I got a few. By the Secretary's standard, we're supposed to salvage any and all the building materials that are on the house that are original and maintain it that way. That's the guideline. And you want to throw that guideline out, yank it all off, and do it with a fiber cement product. It's not what we're supposed to be doing. The product that you want to use looks great. And I understand you're saying that the weather is going to beat the house up and you'd like to replace all of this with this fiber cement and it'll be airtight and all that sort of thing. Well, the house has been 100 years airtight and there isn't any, that I could see, evidence of water damage to the exterior of the house. Pardon me?
Yeah, so we got basically one of the the major impetus behind doing this is, we just done significant interior mechanical and stud job in a couple of rooms. Lot of work on the inside of the house. I got to do drywall on in my living room, right on the inside, like where the chimney is. Okay, it's leaking into the inside of the house around the chimney. That wall is stucco now. So I'm kind of thinking what happened was it was leaking and it destroyed the plaster and then they shot stucco over it. It's leaking again and now the stucco's bad. And rather than just throwing drywall up there and then patching it 2 years later, I'd like to fix the leak on my house if it pleases the crown.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you done any repairs to the house that do comply with the federal standard? Anything that you've done to this house, does any of that comply to the federal standard of maintaining a historic home?
We're getting off topic. I'm not okay with this.
Well,
We have a question before us right now regarding wood siding, the cedar shake, the side porch, and the back porch. And I will agree with Fernando that everybody's hung up, not everybody, I don't mean to say that. We seem to be hung up on windows and previous repairs that are clouding judgment based on what's being presented now. And I'm not okay with that.
We just need to make a motion.
we'll put the motions up. Any further comments?
Sure. So did you want to go through the siding, the deck, and the porch, and the trim one by one, or did you want to group it? Because when you get down to it, again, with the way the guidelines are written, in order to approve siding replacement, the commission will have to find the existing siding is deteriorated and cannot be repaired. So, do you want to go itemize it, or do you just want to go right to the motion?
I would say itemize personally, just because I think it's an easier, cleaner vote. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
I agree. Let's itemize it.
So, does anybody want to make a motion for the dwelling siding then?
So could we see the motions?
Yep.
I would prefer to put that one last.
All right. So.
Can
now
you go
this-
back to your, so it's 2, 5, 6, and 9 again, but
Yep.
can you go back to your staff Your staff approval?
Well, yeah,
Right
this-
there, yes.
That's the recommendation.
Yeah, because that has each of the elements in it, correct?
You are correct.
Okay. So I am going to, start with the first one. I recommend approval of reconstructing the dwelling's north facade porch and staircase incorporating the original fieldstone posts on either side of the proposed porch steps with either round or square spindles between an upper and lower railing.
Commissioner Bales, second.
Any further questions? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Okay, Paul, are you good?
Yep.
Okay. I recommend approval of reconstruction of the rear deck with the staircase. The new deck will be located within the same location as the existing deck and feature round or square spindles between the upper and lower railings. And I want to add, and will match the spindles on the side deck, please.
Commissioner Bales, second.
Any further questions? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Next.
Okay. I recommend approval of repairing the deteriorated window trim and addition of new sills to allow the maintenance of the look and feel of the original window trim.
Commissioner Bales, seconds.
Any further questions on that? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Nay.
Next.
Yeah, with the siding though, remember, this just gives the recommendation for the wood lap and the cedar shake. I'm sorry, the fiber cement. But remember, we have to stick with this motion for the siding, because again, we want to be held not accountable if those windows do indeed have to come out, and that means that the siding that you all approved, and let's say the trim also has to come out too. So we don't want to be held accountable for that. So we'll have to stick with this one. Of course, with you
In
changing some
layman's
words.
terms, the lawyer was saying what?
Sure, roughly, I'll read it. And I move to approve the window trim as a match to the original window trim, blah, blah, as well as with the siding. Condition on the applicant executing and delivering to the city a hold harmless and indemnification agreement in the form acceptable to the city, acknowledging, one, the applicant will be solely liable for any damage to the siding and window trim, if the windows inserted within the dwelling without a permit are required to be removed from the house or property caused by the approved window trim work as well as the siding. Repair will be completed roughly with all permits. So that's what it says. It more or less says that if the commission approves the window trim as well as,
We did.
well, I'm just saying if you do indeed make that determination, the window trim as well as the siding, then if the windows do have to come out, and that means that some of the siding and the window trim will have to come out because the windows are coming out, then we will not be held liable for that, our approval roughly, if you do indeed wish to approve the window trim and the siding.
So just so I'm clear, that's assuming that let's assume that the new siding gets approved, homeowner decides to put the new siding up, then the window situation gets resolved and the windows have to come out. The city will not be held liable for any damage that
the
is
siding.
caused to the new siding because the windows have to come out.
Siding and trim, yes, you're correct.
Understood. Thank you.
And I don't know, is that acceptable too?
Yeah,
I'm just making sure, right? Like everybody's on the
yeah,
same
we'd
page here.
absolutely like to see the precise wording of any proposal before we sign it, but the terms as outlined
Well,
here
actually,
are no issue from our end.
You're gonna have to write it, and you send it to us, and we approve it.
That's fine.
Okay, well, I just, Paul, and you just understand, I'm making sure that everybody's kind of on the same page. With,
Yeah, and
like,
we've-
we go ahead and approve this motion, but then it's not agreed to, so what have we accomplished? That's all I wanted to make sure.
They'll come back. and-
Short question for you. Did we approve these windows?
No, we did not.
Thank you.
Again, is this acceptable to have a little bit more conversation before we go on to this motion? Is that allowed?
Sure, whatever you wish.
Just because we haven't, no, I've already said I think I've well stated my piece, but we haven't heard
Well,
from anybody else here.
My point of view is, in 10 years, we probably won't need a historic commission in Pontiac anymore, because there'll be such changes in the construction and all this kind of stuff. What will be our role? I don't think we'll have a role.
You're-
So that's my point of view. I understand why we're doing it, but I think it's going to further deteriorate our guidelines, and we won't, in our role here, to preserve the historic dimensions of these houses. And I feel strongly about that. So I'm 80 years old, so in 10 years, I probably won't be here, but I wish you well when you're trying to deal with this. So I look for a motion.
Well, I was asking, we didn't hear from Regina.
Oh, I'm a lawyer. I agree with a lot of what Commissioner Bells has said and also what you've been saying. And as the homeowners, you know, to have the longevity of your home, and I think the materials that you picked out compared to what we saw on site. And I don't live in a historical district, but at a distance, if I look at that, I wouldn't be able to say, they changed that from the building. I wouldn't be able, that's just me, because I don't live in a historical district. But I don't see them all the time, such as Commissioner Allen and, Rick, Commissioner, Chair David. But I agree that if it was my home and I've got concern about, water coming into my home, I don't have a vapor barrier on it, the utilities, and that is a concern. And so, I'm for
Any point of view?
any point of view.
I'm looking at the standards, what we're here to support by the parks and the federal government. I'm also looking at the health situation what you're in. This is tough, man, trying to make a choice like this. We rule, tell you, you could go ahead and do that. Anybody could come in and do it. Other
Right.
problem I have with it is, what are you gonna do with the wood? Are you going to just remove the wood and put these in place?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was my other concern. I mean, you'll have bugs and all kinds of stuff if you don't replace the wood and you just stick that up. I'm not a builder. That's why I'm
That's
asking, so.
Yeah, that's a big aspect, is I believe the, putting new siding over, straight up, just over top of the wood siding that's there is explicitly prohibited by the standard.
I
that
feel
we're
for
gonna-
your situation. I live in a house with the same problem. But what I did was I sanded down a lot of the boards and painted over them and used a lot of caulk. That solved the problem. What I had was on the kitchen nook on my back. But
And
this
that
is
was
a tough one, man.
That was our thought 2 months ago.
Pardon me?
That was our thought 2 months ago, with the 15%.
You had 15% that you had to repair on your home?
No, that's what they have.
We're talking about him, he said that he repaired something on his home.
I had a couple couple of boards down on the bottom were kind of bowed out. So there was a little sanding required to it and caulk.
And I guess if I may, I'm a little surprised at the, vitriol directed at the material selection. I suppose, we've gone to great lengths, I will say, to, meet every single one of the, design features of the existing siding.
Yeah, and I guess,
And
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry,
sorry,
James.
just, I think it's like even, like in cases where there is damage, I thought that, or how should I say this? I didn't think that doing hardy board instead of wood is controversial by any means to this board. The corners was an issue, and we worked tirelessly with, something else I should mention is that, this is escalated at the supplier side, right? The contractor, has ran this up to, James Hardy. Basically, we're gonna get the guy that's in charge of all the installs. I'm not sure if it's just in Heat Zone 5, which is the top half of the United States, or if it's all of the United States, but the guy that trains every Hardy crew how to install hardy board is gonna come to our home to make sure that they do the install correctly with the, custom corners and blah, blah, blah. We've gone to great lengths to make sure that we're hitting all of these historic criteria in every way that we can possibly.
And I also want to add, when we had our training, the young lady came in and told us there were key features that we need to keep. If you look at this home, you can still see that there's a lot of historical features on this home that siding, in my opinion, is not going to take away from the characteristics of the home. If you look at the home, it's still, I don't have this type of home in my neighborhood.
And I guess I want to also point out that when we talked about, I'm not talking about your windows, right? Like the window guidelines, the point of the window guidelines was that we mimic the look of the windows as originally designed. It was not about material. We talked over and over again about the material not being relevant. It was, does it look the same as it was when originally built and designed? And so to your point, Rick, about why are we here? Because we're still protecting the look. We're still protecting that overall aesthetic of the home. And whether it's wood siding or hardy board, one of the things that we've taught, and I'm just using hardy board, fiber board, whatever you want to call it, sorry to use name brand, but that is an advancement in technology that we have accepted. And so we've allowed I think with the IR, we've allowed that multiple times as well, which is a substitute for actual cedar siding, similar to what we have here.
Okay, I think we've talked it through pretty well. And I appreciate all points of view. And so I would look for a motion.
Quite honestly, with being one board member short and hearing conversation, I'm inclined to table. That's my.
Oh, wow.
Paul, can you reiterate number 2 of the standard? What does that standard actually state? If we're going to allow this siding issue and determine such, and allow the gentleman to go ahead and do this, does it actually comply with the number 2 standard?
The historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. Removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that categorize a property shall be avoided. Well, roughly, the whole takeaway with the National Park Service standards is repair over replacement. That's the whole, if you look through all of the 10 National Park Service standards, roughly they're all going towards, hey, you know what, we really like repair over replacement. And if replacement's needed, again, the material has to be so deteriorated that it needs to come off and new material has to be established. So that's really what this is saying. I mean, the historic character of the property shall be retained. Roughly, that's where they're saying, well, you know what? That's where repair is looked on as a more optimal outcome. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces to categorize property shall be avoided. So really, that's really where this is going.
And-
The whole idea is avoid removing so much historic material.
It says character, it doesn't say material. I'll
You're correct on
disagree with that.
You are
It says
correct on that.
character.
So let me rephrase. Removing historic character obviously isn't the most optimal thing based on the 10 standards. Repair is, but again, if it's deteriorated, that being the characteristic, then the commission can then look at
And
replacing
please,
that with
can you,
material that matches.
can you kindly explain number 6 then?
Sure. Well, this is the big takeaway with number 6. This more or less says deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replacement, just sort of what I said for number 2. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new feature shall match the old in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features shall be roughly, one shall take a picture of it as well as itemize what's being removed. So again, in this one, they're saying that repair is optimal, and it's deteriorated so much that it needs to be removed, that the new feature shall more or less be a match to design, color, and texture.
And I want to go back to historic character of the property shall be retained. Right? Deterioration of historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced. Features and character. It doesn't say material, the historic materials of the property.
Well, doesn't it?
It does say where possible material.
In number 2, second sentence, right? The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces.
That
The characterize
characterize
the
a
property shall be avoided. So it didn't say you could do whatever you wanted to do. What it's saying, if I understand this correctly, is the original material, you don't remove it if you can repair it so that you don't change the characteristics of the house. Am I reading that wrong?
That's exactly what we're trying to do here. I mean, look, we've been avoiding removing that siding for quite a long time. The previous owners were also avoiding removing that siding and dealing with the issues, and it's coming to a head, frankly. It needs to be repaired in some manner, and we're working with, this board, the appropriate authority, to come up with a solution to weatherize the home. I believe there's also, now it's not I don't think it's National Park Service. I think it's one of the guidelines at the Pontiac level. I believe possibly number 7, don't quote me, has to do essentially with use of new materials and new construction techniques shall not be prohibited, basically just to prove a point. You're not allowed to require wood instead of fiber cement, just for instance, if you're matching, if you're
We would have
not
all,
altering the feature.
we would have all wood windows everywhere if that were the case, and that is no longer a requirement for this commission, as long as they mimicked the look of the original.
Exactly.
Material was
Let me
irrelevant.
read number 7 for you. Whether the applicant, whether reasonably possible, will repair rather than replace deteriorated architectural features and where replacement is necessary. So what you're asking me to go along with, I think, maybe I'm screwy here, is you'd like me to agree that the material on the house now is junk. Nothing you can do with it. The only thing you can do is replace it. If I understand myself.
That's the application I filed that we're here today reviewing, yes, sir.
If I may, I think what the applicant was doing was talking about guideline 10. Contemporary designs, materials, or methods for construction, alteration, or repair shall not be discouraged where they are compatible with the size, scale, color, material, and character of the affected structure and adjacent structures. Because number 7 is whether the applicant were reasonably possible will repair rather than replace deteriorated architectural features, and where a replacement is necessary, where such replacement is as similar in composition and texture as is possible and is based on a reasonably accurate depiction of the architectural feature.
Yeah, was that number 10? Thank you, Paul.
I'm back at this
The last
idea.
one I read was 7, the first one I read was 10. That's contemporary materials.
I'm back at this idea of 90% of the houses in a historic district needs weatherization. They can just come to code enforcement or something in the future and bypass this entirely.
Exactly.
I think they can. I think
No,
they
I mean,
can.
the workflow
I'm
specifically.
talking to my colleagues.
All right.
You've had a fair shot, you know.
Well, Rick, I think, yes, so be it, you know, or not so be it, but if a homeowner wants to improve the construction quality, the longevity, the building envelope of their home, they should be allowed to. And yeah, it's unfortunate these are historic homes that were built a certain way. Again, I think their house is rare in that it lacks a vapor barrier, right? Typically, tar paper is used. You know, my house has it. I've had to deal with it. But from what I saw on site, and this maybe is another requirement for the homeowner, is to get an actual report done on the air tightness of the home. That's a blower door test that can be done pretty easily. To further justify, like, yeah, we have to take the siding off and put a weather barrier up to increase the longevity of the home, then yeah, so be it. You know, like, if that's what it's gonna take to preserve the home, then I'm all for it. I think the nuance of the language of architectural feature, in my opinion, like, we have to look at this as a whole, right? A house is a grouping of different features. If we're solely conceding on this, but the rest of the architecture will remain intact, which I know we've thoroughly made it clear to the homeowners, like, do not touch the overhangs, do not touch the decorative beams, do not touch the chimney, right? Like, all of those significant architectural features are gonna remain, then I think as a commission, we should be open to slightly, I'm not even gonna, it's not bending the rules, but just being open to, hey, an alternative material is being proposed that will add value to the home, right? It will extend the life of the home. It will make the home more comfortable to live in. Like, I don't see why we would want to fight that. They're not asking to change the pitch of the roof. They're not asking to change the shape of the house. You know, the corners, I don't know how else we resolve the corner detail, right? I wish we could, but the fact that the regional rep of James Hardy is gonna show up on site, like, let's celebrate that, right? Let's talk to them in person, be like, hey, you have a whole historic district here. Let's figure out solutions for the rest of these homes, right? I think, like, we should see this as an opportunity of, like, we gotta launch into the next 100 years here, you know? Like, all of our homes are gonna struggle, you know, like, I'm waiting for the first solar panel one to come through, right? Like, what is that discussion gonna look like? But yeah, I think, again, the architectural features are being preserved. In my opinion, the overall architecture of the home is not gonna change. If the siding has to look like this, I'm okay with it, once again.
Well, I think you all made your points. I'm concerned in 10 years whether we will have a job, whether you'll have a job here. And I don't think you will. Okay, so you said about tabling, but that was just one thought. We can also look at a vote, so what's your pleasure, people?
I would support tabling for
For what reason?
so we can get our seventh member.
For what reason?
What's a required approval of a motion?
Well, there has to be
Majority,
a majority,
just a simple majority. You don't have to.
roughly, yeah.
So you need 4 votes then?
We can have 4 votes. We can have, we can have 4 yes, 2 no, 3 yes, 4 no. I mean, whatever the vote is. It's just the majority, as the chair indicated.
Well, is there a motion? Please.
Yeah, my motion simply to table this. I think this discussion is going nowhere.
I second that motion. This is a real serious decision, what we're making here, which, like the commissioner right here said, I mean, if we start allowing these altercations, there won't be any historical district down the road. But at the same time, I understand where you're coming from. Have you looked into where the water is coming from?
Can I ask a question, though, if you don't mind? So we're tabling it. Exactly what do you want the applicant to bring back next month for review?
Pardon me?
Sure, if we're going to table it, what exactly are you requesting the applicant to bring back the way of materials or documents or anything like that?
The only thing I'd like to see in order to reside this house, we need to have some kind of documentation that states to some degree that the siding on that house is no good. I'm just,
Yeah, I can provide that letter to Paul.
I understand. So what they're saying is what's on the house is junk and we got to replace it, period.
Yes, sir.
That would be helpful.
Do you want, how many letters do you want from the applicant? Do you want 1 or do you want, 2?
You're saying 2 different opinions?
Yeah, roughly, yeah, 2 letters, 2 opinions based on their review, based on the fact that they're, citing experts. So 2 or 3?
Well, we need a review or an opinion from somebody that understands historic homes.
Okay, great.
Not necessarily a guy that's in the siding business, even though they're very knowledgeable fellows, right? I agree with you there. But somebody that understands the nature of a historic building and what should be done to it would be very helpful.
Thank you. We have the motion. We have Alan first, Adam second to table, so we need a vote.
All in favor of tabling the motion till next meeting indicate by saying aye.
All right?
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? And the reason?
All right, so we have 5 to 1? Okay.
So it's tabled.
5 table, yep, 1 opposition. Okay, very good.
I was ready to vote tonight. Yeah, okay.
So
Okay, thank you very much.
something
So,
else we should address.
We're on to December.
We're going to need to flash in the windows as emergency work before the winter and come back in the spring for it in that case.
We voted yes on the windows.
Oh, on the trim.
The trim, yeah.
Okay.
Trim's good.
And actually, we didn't vote on the window trim yet. We did the.
Yeah, we did.
We did?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, we did. You're correct.
We
Yep.
voted yes for the trim.
Yep, you're Burke and Bales. Yep, I got you. Yep, sorry about that.
And
Yep.
We're good to go.
The decks, both decks and the trim were approved.
Awesome.
Yep, you're correct.
Vanessa, applicant, ready to go? Yes.
I need like a minute.
A timeout?
James, you guys want your?
Samples?
All right, so we have our last case, HDC 25-38. 23 Farrago Street, replace wood lap siding, repair, replace soffits, fascia, frieze boards on dwelling. So as you can see where the red arrow is, that's where it's located on Fairgrove between Saginaw and Perry. The property in question is 023, so it's roughly the blue box in the middle of the screen. It's the house, of course, with the barn at the rear. Of course, the HDC does recall roughly a month and a half ago, we did take a tour of the house to look at the existing condition of the siding. Roughly, the house was built in 1910. It's in the Fairgrove Historic District, and roughly it's a large 2.5-story vernacular type dwelling with a hip roof. This is a picture of the dwelling off of Fairgrove Street, and I did provide a large number of photographs in the packet that the applicant provided in relation to the condition of the siding. Roughly, remove original wood lap siding with a 4.5 to 5 inch reveal to install fiber cement siding with a 7-inch reveal and corner boards. And of course, then there's lap. I failed to put down lap siding too, that the applicant is indicating that she wishes to clad there. So it's either going to be, the commission is going to be looking at the fiber cement option and then the LP option, okay? And replace or repair deteriorated soffits, frieze board, fascia, and corbels. What applies is 5, 6, 9, and 10 of the National Park Service standards. 2, 3, 7, and 10 of the Historic Pontiac guidelines. So the applicant seeks to remove the original wood lap siding on the dwelling, except for the siding found under the front porch, which I believe that's still in the case, but the applicant will be addressing that when she speaks. The applicant proposes to install a fiber cement or LP siding having a 7-inch board reveal, that being for the fiber cement, or the LP siding will have a 4-inch board reveal. And as I indicated, the dwelling right now has a 4.5 to 5 inch. So the fiber cement will be a 7-inch reveal, and the LP siding will be roughly a 4-inch reveal. And again, it's 4.5 to 5 inches right now on the dwelling, that being the existing wood lap siding. The majority of the dwelling's lap siding has corners mitered, overlapping, like this. Now, of course, the service wing does have that vertical corner board at the rear of the property, but the majority of the house, that being the main body of the house, not the service area, does have the mitered or overlapping type boards. For the HDC to approve the new siding, the applicant must provide evidence that the siding cannot be repaired. Once the HDC determines the original siding is beyond repair, the HDC may authorize replacement of the feature based on HDC guidelines. Again, the applicant provided a lot of pictures to me for siding. It's all in your packet. These are the siding guidelines based on your review. You should should be very familiar with these. Roughly, for the LP siding, well, that's replacing existing wood lap siding with LP siding, which I'm going to hand out a sample. LP siding, of course, you all familiar with that. It's roughly composite wood siding. And then with the fiber cement siding, well, that complies down to replacing original damaged material with hardy board or fiber cement that mimics the width pattern and original with the original material. Fiber cement. Fiber cement, staff does support the use of fiber cement lap siding when the proposed feature mimics the width pattern, skirting, and mitered overlapping or intersecting edges of the original siding. However, proposed fiber cement siding does not match the original siding's board reveal or the overlapping type of edging on the majority of the house. The applicant, of course, is going to be using those corner boards for the edging on the entire house. So going to match the service wing, but will not match the larger extent of the house, okay? Again, fiber cement siding, 7-inch reveal, and the existing reveal on the house is 4.5 to 5. The 5 inches on the service wing of the house, the 4.5 inches roughly on the majority of the, let's call it the box of the house that is to the front. LP siding. So staff supports the use of LP siding when the proposed feature mimics the width, pattern, skirting, and overlapping or edging of the original siding. The LP siding will mimic the existing siding reveal roughly around 4 inches. But again, corner boards will have to be utilized for this, which again, the service wing has corner boards, but corner boards aren't found on the extent of the other extent of the house, okay, which is a larger section of the house. You are correct, yep, and the carriage house does have that too. Analysis. So again, this is the whole thing. Based on the guidelines, the HDC will have to make a finding that the siding is in total disrepair and needs to be removed. If you do make that finding, then you will obviously move on to option 1 or option 2, that being the LP siding or the fiber cement siding, okay? But of course, as you do know, both of them have their takeaways, that they don't match the existing siding details in full. That being, one cannot abide by the board reveal, and the other one, well, both of them then have to have that type of corner boards that aren't existing on portions of the house right now. Freeze boards. So when you get down to it, it proposes to repair or replace soffits, fascia, corbels, and freeze boards. Based on the Pontiac criteria, repair is always better over replacement. But if the applicant has to, if those features are in such disrepair, that's where the applicant, based on the commission's review and decision, can replace it with features that mimic the existing fascia, soffits, corbels, and freeze, and so forth like that. Staff recommends the repair of the features in good condition and replacement of features in deteriorated state. Any replaced features shall match the original in location, board width, design, placement, and texture. So roughly, staff recommends approval of the following. And of course, with the siding, again, if the commission finds all siding on the dwelling cannot be repaired, then we recommend repair existing siding is optimal, or replace existing siding with the same material, board width, sizing, location, skirting, length, texture, mitered edges, and let's say corner edges. And then when it comes to the soffits, fascia, corbels, and freeze boards, that's where we say repair is always optimal over replacement. And if it's in such disrepair that the replacement's needed, that the new feature shall mimic the old feature. And roughly, those are the sample motions. So it might be a good idea for the applicant to come up and describe with their contractors the LP and the fiber cement. So it will probably be a good idea for you to decide for the fiber cement, if you think that may be optional, or the LP siding, But again, you're gonna have to make that determination if you feel that the siding is in such disrepair that it has to be removed, okay, before, you can really move on, to be honest with you. So let me go and provide the, samples to you.
They need a,
Can we get a mic for them?
they need a mic, or I can't see a mic.
Oh, sorry about that.
Details, details.
Sorry, I got here at 7 o'clock, so.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, so before we go into further questions and conversation, talk about one versus the other, did you find between your visit and the packet in front of you that there's enough damage that would allow you to approve it? Or is it a moot point to discuss which type of siding we're looking at?
I can only give you my vote. If you'd like my vote, I can give you that, but I'll let Rick lead that thought.
Okay,
Well, we all did the site visit, I think. Were you able to go, Commissioner Campbell?
Looking at the picture, I went and looked at it.
What was the
So-
assessment?
we looked
Just-
into the LP siding because during the on-site visit, it was recommended to me that it might be another option if the hardy board was not approved because it didn't meet the standards of replacing with the width of the boards and all the other detail, that we should look into it. I didn't want to have to come back, do the whole application process again, so I thought, okay, if we can go forward, I'd like you to have two options. We already kind of agreed to some things with McLinch for the hardy board. That was our first choice. Also like the LP siding because it does offer, the smaller reveal. For me, it's a matter of the wrap underneath. It's a matter of not having to, in 20 years when I'm 80 years old and on a fixed income, having to have somebody come out and scrape and paint my house again. That's one of the things I think about is it's a lot. It's a lot to do every 20 years, and I don't want to let the house get in the condition that it's in now. I feel like most of the wood has gaps in it. There's moisture getting in, and it's just a matter of time before it's coming in my house, so.
Thank you. What was the assessment of the on-site visit? Can
know if
somebody
there's-
recall that for me?
Go ahead, you guys, I'll wait till last.
Commissioner Bales, do you recall the visit there and our assessment?
Commissioner Bales, I do recall, I was just looking at the street view images. I think if I recall right, the driveway side looked fairly intact, and it was the east side, I think?
And the whole upper part of the house, even on the driveway side.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think we're back kind of to our previous conversation, unfortunately. But, I think if I recall correctly and per my assessment on site, I did not feel like it needed to be replaced.
Okay.
That would be, yeah, I think certain areas for sure need to be replaced, but not the entirety.
So, other comments about the visit? Were we all there?
I don't think I went to the visit.
You were not there, either of you? Jim?
Yeah, there isn't enough damage on that house to replace it. In my opinion, it just needs to be sanded, caulked, and painted. Your building is actually in really good shape compared to most of the others. That's just my opinion.
All right, well, I mean, I don't want to make these guys stay any longer than they have if we're not going forward. I just assume we know when we got to figure it out. And if we get told by somebody like the other guy did that we can't replace half the house, that half of this side of the house, we got to do the whole thing, I think we're probably looking at the same roughly cost, but it's just, I get it.
And dragging it out for years and years and years
Yeah,
and
like I
years to
said,
end up in the
it's,
exact same place.
That's kind of my biggest concern too, is
Yep.
like, I don't want to replace, a fraction of the house siding and then, or, repair part of it and then have to have it done again.
In 5 more years, this part needs
Different
done. 5 more
colors,
years, this
Having-
part needs done.
textures
Yeah.
slightly different.
Having the house under construction on a regular
I
basis.
guess respectfully, I'd say I was listening to some of the conversation, and one of the things that comes to my mind is, like, if you think about the whole historic piece, like, we don't have, the street is not dirt anymore. There's a reason for that. It's not cobblestone. It's something that can be maintained and will last for time. In 100 years, you're not going to be telling people, just keep replacing this wood. To your point, in 20 years, you want to still be offering a service of maintaining the character of the home, and I get that. But I feel like, to your point, it can have the character with different materials, and it might be little tiny things here and there, but when you drive down that street and the main characteristics of the home are still there, and the home is still there, I mean, I think it's something to consider whether at some point, like you can allow for people to improve the home in a way that it's going to stand the test of time and still maintain those characteristics that you're looking for. I mean, I came in here and my whole thing is I want to maintain those characteristics. I want to improve the quality of, the materials of the home. And I get what you're trying to do. I appreciate it. I know it's got to be a tough decision, but I just respectfully would like to share those thoughts. Like, we don't have horses and buggies. We don't have all the architectural, historical features anymore. There's a reason for that, and
We don't have knob and tube electric anymore for
the
a
knob and
reason
tube's gone.
either.
I can't reproduce that stuff. I have to.
Well, let me explain my position a little bit better for you, really. The only thing they've asked me to do on this commission is to read the guideline and establish whether it does or doesn't apply to the guideline. That's all they've asked me to do.
Gotcha.
Doesn't matter what I feel about it,
Yeah,
right?
I get that.
Doesn't matter how expensive it is. And all I can say is, according to the federal guidelines, what you're proposing does not comply.
I get it.
So,
I
mean,
feel like the
that's the
guidelines
only
might
thing.
need to be
It's, I
tweaked a
wish I
little
could do something different, but what they've asked me to do is does it or doesn't.
Yeah.
Either it does or it doesn't. So the way I read it and understand it, no, it doesn't. So how you want to look at that, I don't know. My position is I'm going to do what they asked me to do.
Yeah, understand.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's all I can say. I can't say anything more than that.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't mean what I like. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't matter what I like.
It's a gig. I get
Yeah,
that.
And for the record, I will say again, character features. Either product allows you to maintain the character and the features of your home as it was originally built, while using new materials and allowing you to do a one-time
Yeah. You don't have to sand and scrape and
replacement.
paint every time
Yep.
with either one of them. If you're going to repaint it, it doesn't have to be scraped. You don't have mess and paint flakes everywhere, and the labor and the cost involved in that, it can just be repainted. It's much more longevity, not only for the look of the home. It's not going to start, if 50 years from now, somebody's in that home and they can't afford to have it painted, scraped, whatever,
It's
going
gonna
to look like garbage.
deteriorate.
It's going to look horrible. And
Yeah.
that's,
So we are no longer, we're doing exactly the opposite of a historic commission. We are no longer preserving historical homes when we force people to not be able to properly maintain and update them.
I agree.
So I think we're doing an absolute disservice to a historic commission.
But again, I understand, you got paper in front of you that says something else, I don't know what to say about that, that's not something you can control. It is what it is, but we can, if you have to do your vote, whatever, we can call it, I'm getting tired.
But we
It's
did
almost my
have some,
bedtime.
Commissioner
where are we
Campbell,
at? Yes,
let me
where are
say
you at?
something too. And I agree with Commissioner, is it Burt?
Yes, that's her name.
That we had some extensive training about the characteristics of the properties that we look at. And there was a variety of things that you could look at to see that it is a historical home. And so we want to preserve as much of that as possible. So if you take one thing away, it's not gonna say, oh, this home is no longer historical. So we have to be open to that, and I think we probably need to revisit that with that. And she was a property preservation lady that came in to review with us some things that we talked about. And so as we move forward with these cases, I think we do need to take it into account that what we're looking at when we talk about the historical characteristics of a historical home is not just one thing that's gonna change the whole characteristics of the home. And it does say like material, and a lot of the materials that have come forward is upgraded, but it is similar to what is on the home. So I think we're tabling this. What are we doing?
Just wanted to ask, Paul, is there a house across the street that came before the commission? Are you aware of?
Actually, there's a house next door that came in front of the commission. Now, with that house, the commission, well, before I say this, with that house, what they did, they decided to rip off remove all the existing wood lap siding, and then clad it with hardy board without HDC approval. So HDC did review that one, okay, and they did all the work without a permit. But, I will say this, so with anything with HDC, either the 10 National Park Service standards or the 11 Pontiac guidelines, again, it always emphasizes repair over replacement. If the deteriorated feature is so deteriorated that it has to be removed, then that's where the new feature shall mimic the old feature. So I do want to point that out.
That's pivotal. That's pivotal.
It's pivotal in that if what's on the building is junk and you can't save it, then we should allow you to make a change in material to mimic the original.
I
All right.
guess when I look at it, that's what I see.
I understand.
see
I understand.
Yeah.
But, here again, trying to follow the guideline, yes or no, right? The deterioration of your house is not that extreme, in my view. I'll let them speak for themselves.
So what is our next step here? Commissioner Campbell asked that question.
Somebody make a motion if you like.
I'm just looking at our historic commission guidelines. Historical or architectural value and significance of the structure or object and its relationship to the historical value of the surrounding area. The general compatibility of exterior design, setbacks, arrangement, color, texture, and materials proposed to be used. Whether the applicant has avoided, where possible, the removal or alteration of any historic building materials or distinctive architectural features, or any changes which would destroy the original character of the affected structures. Whether the applicant, where reasonably possible, will repair rather than replace deteriorated architectural features, and where replacement is necessary, whether such replacement is as similar in composition and texture as is possible and is based on a reasonably accurate duplication of the architectural features. And number 10, contemporary designs, materials, or methods for construction, alterations, or repair shall not be discouraged when they are compatible with the size, color, material, and character of the affected structure and adjacent structures.
what that all says is standing at the sidewalk, looking at the building, does it look the same? Yes or no? That's what that's describing.
Reasonably, I think is what I heard.
That is exactly what it describes.
stuff I would say.
Visually, does it look like it? Yes or no? That's what you're explaining.
I just read the standards from the Pontiac Historic Guidelines. I don't think, like the last case, there is no question that what is being requested is permissible, assuming reveal is the same, right? You've got the corner situation, the back with the trim. Does it still look the same when you're standing
The
and looking
definition
at
of character is so elastic for me.
Not at all.
It is not,
defined
a character is not as, it's elastic, it's movable. It's in the eyes of the beholder, character. I think you're going to have trouble in the future on character. Well, I think that's my point of view, okay? You don't have to agree. Okay, so where are we at with this? Do we want a table? Do we want a yes, no, or what?
I'm in no position to make a motion on it. I don't think it's the right thing to do. But I'll let the others speak.
Commissioner Campbell, do you want to make a motion?
So if we table, then what are we, I didn't look at the home. Sorry, I didn't have the opportunity to look at your beautiful home, so we can table it. But I am not although I'm a contractor, I wouldn't be able to go out there and say, because I don't do siding, that's not my area of expertise, so I'm not gonna be able to go out there and say, yeah, you're 95% deteriorated, we need to replace it, or we 50%. That's not my area of expertise.
And when we're talking about, to that point, when we're saying deteriorated, to me, that's an elastic term. What does deteriorated mean? Does that mean if you try to remove it and reapply it to put down a the vapor barrier? What was it,
WRB.
Thank you. Wow. WRB, is it going to still look exactly the same? Does that mean it's not deteriorated? Does that mean it's perfectly flat and doesn't have the tiniest little bit of curve where it's starting to warp? What's deteriorated? Does it mean it's split? Does it mean it's cracked? And I think, unfortunately, that's what's being used as the basis of the assessment for, is the wood siding deteriorated? Is it split? Is it cracked? When you sit and look, if you start to see that lifting, that wood is no longer good wood in theory and should be replaced if we're using that as the basis to determine a percentage. And nowhere does it say a percentage in here.
And
Yeah,
I think
was
that,
gonna ask that question, and where does the 15% come from? Is
Right.
that part of the guidelines? Because it's been a minute since I looked at the whole thing, but
I'd probably look and see 85% because I'd be like, no.
No, there isn't
no.
a percentage.
if you look
If I
at,
may-
if you look at the corners where they are
If I
not
may,
meeting right,
So,
sorry.
my assumption is if you want to table it, then we're going to have to request the applicant to provide materials for next month then. So, my assumption is you would like a letter from a historic expert on siding to indicate, based on their expertise,
Yeah.
that the siding is beyond repair, the majority that is. You're right in the fact that we don't have any percentage for what is deteriorated for siding, but one would assume that deterioration could mean a lot of things, but I mean,
Well,
it would probably be easier for an expert to look at that. And I think going forward, we're probably going to have to amend the siding guidelines to indicate that we need at least 2 or 3 letters from experts stating the condition of the material or feature, and before they even submit to the
I need an
HDC.
expert to make sure that my concern about character is not elastic anymore.
Actually, I have a point of that, because I kind of agree with you that character is elastic because it is it's a perception, it's a feeling versus to say that the material with which something is made of is what defines its character, I think is inherently wrong. I think the emotion, the feeling, that the nostalgia that something evokes is invocative of its character.
I think we can all agree that nobody has a real good idea of where we want to go with this.
Yeah, I guess my question is,
I'm trying to make this simpler if we can.
what does the letter need to say? I mean, because the last people had something from a restorative company also, and they felt like it was sufficiently saying that they couldn't do just part of it, they had to do the whole site, those kind of things, and
If I may, not, since I'm not a decision maker in this, I think what the commission should do is, if they feel that a letter is required, that the expert should move from each side of the house and itemize what they feel is deteriorated and what they feel is not deteriorated, and sort of move on like that. But, I mean, that's my 2 cents. I'm not a decision maker in this. So, but it should be something substantial in relation to reviewing the extent of the existing siding and its state.
What would constitute an expert in your
That's a good question. I mean, I think 8 people in here could come up with their own decision. What we'll do is we'll ask our lawyer what we should do, because obviously we have to go to our city attorney and indicate what we're gonna request of applicants, so that we have a base to start with.
And I guess, since we're talking about, in both of these situations, we're talking about overlapping siding. So if you're gonna replace board number 10 from the bottom, right? Like, you can't replace board number 10 from the bottom, and it's just board number 10 from the bottom. You're gonna have to go. Right, so that's when we're talking about deteriorated. Does this mean now that we can remove the above boards, right? Does everybody know what I mean, right? The boards that are higher, can those be removed and be reinstalled, right? Like, what's the damage you're gonna find when you start getting into that mess, which was the point of their letter, I believe? Eight. Right, so you've gotta go all the way up.
It's not like cedar siding. It's a shiplap board. 3/8 up, 3/8 down. That's what the overlap is. I've been fixing this stuff for more than 50 years. I don't consider myself to be an expert. I just know what I've done in 50 years. You can determine whether or not you think I'm an expert or not. I won't. But I can tell you that in order for me to approve or allow you to say, go ahead and re-side it with the Hardy Back or any other product, I have to be able to say what's on the house is junk. And I can't do that with your home. Having looked at it, I worked on that house for 2 or 3 years, long before you bought it. So I'm very well aware of the building. And with my 50 years of experience, doesn't cut it for me. But that's, I'm only asked to say yes or no.
I think okay, but where are we at? Commissioner Bales?
Somebody make a motion or not?
Sorry, go ahead first.
Sounds like what you're saying is, even if a contractor, an expert or restorer, I don't even know who we're talking about,
Right.
provide a letter that says it needs to be all replaced, what does that do? Does that make you say, yes, it has to be replaced, or you still think it doesn't? I guess, is there a
I would always prefer a neutral, they brought a letter. I didn't pay much attention to the letter. I think the letter has to be a neutral person, not a contractor, that is working on their home. I mean, that's a given. That's a given. We always have to have a third party doing that. Why are you shaking your head no?
There's also, I guess, like the alternative, I think we're headed down a slippery slope in terms of, like, there's eventually this ends up at building safety, right? That, okay, if a home falls into disrepair so badly that building safety has to get involved, then we are forced to make a decision, right? That if the siding on your house begins to leak and you have water infiltration and now there's mold in your walls and you're living in a house with mold, like that right there should force us to make a decision, right? Like, okay, yeah, rip the siding off, replace it, get all the mold out, and live in a healthy home. And so at a certain point, like who is the building expert that is going to come out? Possibly a third party, not a hired contractor.
Right.
It could be a separate contractor to give you an opinion, but I think at the end of the day, I think it's building safety, possibly. Or it's another option that goes out and assesses, hey, the siding on this home is 50% gone. It's time to replace. But I don't know. That could also be a slippery slope.
I think that's a good, that's a suggestion. When I speak to the city attorney, I can bring this up to all three of them and indicate that would it be a good idea for the building official to go out and make that determination? Because, obviously he is I'm not going to say that word. Obviously he has a license, okay, a builder's license and all that fun stuff. He's licensed. Or I can ask, does the applicant need to hire a restoration expert or a historic preservation expert? I will bring that up with the attorney, but we do need, if we do table it, we need to come up with a motion that indicates why we're going to table it.
I also want to make clear though that we shouldn't hinder a homeowner from wanting to replace their siding.
That's what we're doing.
Right, and I'm riding both sides here because I see the need of hey, in this point in time, I can do this, right? I can afford it. I have the brain space. I have the capacity to do this today. If I'm delayed because building official says I can't replace my siding, then I'm just not going to do it,
Yeah, and I don't know what the lawyer's going to say about the city actually getting involved and reviewing it. So that's why I'm going to have to reach out to them all and have a discussion with them on what they feel should be next steps if an expert is required based on the motion.
What would you like us to be able to do for you tonight? I want to take, well, do you want me to give you a green light, go? You really don't want to scrape and paint the house? I really don't. Okay. That's, that's about as straight as it gets. No, I really don't want to scrape it out. I understand. The only way that I could approve it is I'd have to deem that your building was destroyed and you couldn't scrape and paint it. And then then I can say, well, yeah, but we don't have that.
Okay.
And I don't determine that it's,
Commissioner Campbell, yeah, Jim,
That
I think
bad?
you made your point of view. Do you want to make a motion here?
I would make a motion to table it
Okay,
until.
What's the commission going to be tabling it on? Do you need more information from, or
Well, we have, I didn't see, and I'm not an expert, as I mentioned, I didn't look at the property, so I can't tell you, I can't make my opinion about the condition of the siding. Right, I can, Commissioner, you weren't able to look at either, were you?
I don't need to see the percentage to make a determination.
I'm disappointed in that.
That's okay,
I understand, but I think our job is to look at the sites.
That's fine,
I'd like to,
I'll look at the site.
Yeah, I think we should invite people that have not seen, part of the things I would ask, part of this, that they be invited to go see the site. And that
I
get
think
a
you
third-
really ought to ask a couple of neighbors. I mean, they have money invested in historic homes and they want to improve them as they can. They want to maintain that structure, right? The guy next to you owns a historic house. You want him to keep
But,
it up.
no,
I imagine he wants
Jim,
you to,
Jim,
like,
we're trying to get this, what do we
table it.
want him to, in terms of table, what else do we want? We're going to offer on-site, we want a third-party point of view on this. I need to have my elastic character concept be less elastic instead of the eye of the beholder. And it's more complex than we know. It's on one side, character is an easy one to say, but it's very difficult. Okay, and
Commissioner Adams, did you have opportunity to look at the home?
Yes, I did look at the home. City of Pontiac, I would suggest we get involved, somebody what understands these historical homes, would come and inspect them
a third party.
and bring a note.
Tell us who to call, we'll get them out, and we would love to have a third party.
It would be his responsibility on this. Paul's responsibility to get the third party. It's not
well,
your responsibility.
yeah.
We
I'm
have
gonna
federal guidelines what we have to follow. That's the only reason I'm saying that, and I'm not a home builder, okay? What I saw was, I'm giving you the best, 20%, okay, is what I saw, and that's giving you the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not a home builder. That's why I'm suggesting we get somebody involved, what understands what can give us some description of how much damage is done, how much isn't.
So those are the dimensions, Paul. Just two or three things that we're looking for as part of the table motion.
Yep, I understand that, and I'll reach out to the attorney too after
Okay.
tomorrow. So
All
we
in
need
favor of tabling this then? Are we ready to?
Yeah, we have, Vice Chair Campbell is putting the motion out, so we need a second?
Yes. A
Second.
second or table?
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Adams, second. All in favor of tabling it, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstentions and the reason why? Well, thank you for the marathon here tonight, and we wish you well. And thank you. Now, so we're continuing on. What other business do you have?
Yep, so we just have one point to make. The HDC staff is going to be applying for a grant through SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office. Now, that grant will focus on guidelines for downtown. So if we do indeed get the funds, then we could hire a preservation architect / preservation planner to come in and write a brand-new guideline for historic downtown. So what we need through the chair is a letter of support that the chair can, or the vice chair can then sign off on. I'll draft it. so that we can provide that with our
So
grant.
get a meeting that Commissioner Campbell and I can come over and look at it.
Yep, that sounds good. Yep. We're going to try to get that letter out or over to both of you maybe the end of the week or the beginning of next week. Now, we're going to be submitting our grant roughly mid-December, and it's $50,000. So we're going to try to get that, and then hopefully then we can utilize that as a template for the rest of downtown. Aside from that, I don't have any more announcements.
Well, I know it's been a difficult evening. I appreciate your attention, and we have strong feelings, and that's okay. That's really okay. And so I look for a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Campbell, support? I'm not sure who's supporting it.
Support.
Adam?
I'll support.
Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Thank you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we'll see, it's already Thanksgiving.
Yep, and we might want to think about revisiting our siding guidelines, beefing it up a bit, because we need to. Our siding guidelines. Yeah, because I mean, and I will ask the city attorney how to move forward, whether it be the building inspector that's going to review it, or we really can't hire an outside contractor because we don't have the funds to do that. So we're going to have to figure out a way to figure this out.